afternoon, everybody. This is your old pal Ken, and I want to do a little video today on how to fillet fish. What happens to me very often is my day goes long on the water, and I am keeping my boat, my friends' boats. Most of them are a good distance from where I live, so you know, I don't always find the time to fillet fish immediately following a trip. And not every spot has a good fillet table. Facilities that, you know, I can stand up straight and cut the fish and it won't hurt my back so bad. So I fashioned a fillet table for myself at home, and a friend of mine, Joe, gave me this backsplash. It's a industrial kitchen stainless backsplash that I got years ago, and as you see, I got a this is a starboard piece of cutting board, and I've got a piece of marble underneath that, and I've got that wood for the backsplash to contain the mess. And after each use, I hose all that off, and it's at the right height for me, so I'm not hurting my back. That's very important to me, especially when you've got a lot of fish to cut. So I'm not as good as party boat mates and charter boat mates that, you know, fillet every single day, and, you know, fish monger people, but I think I do a pretty fair job most of the time, and we enjoy a lot of fish here in my house. So again, I've got my fillet table set up. It's at the right height that I'm not going to hurt my back. I can stand up straight. Okay, I've got several different fillet knives, and I use them for different things. And you see that I've got my sharpening utensils. Okay, so this is an old school whetstone that most mates will use for sharpening their utensils, and this knife here is pretty much the industry standard. It's a Dexter 1378. It's a 9-inch carbon steel blade, and they will stain. You have to care for them correctly. After each use, you have to dry them very well, clean them thoroughly, dry them very well, and coat them lightly with any kind of oil, olive oil, cooking oil, doesn't really matter much, but a very light coating of oil, and then wrap it in a paper towel is how I normally do it. Anyway, these sharpen easy. The steel is softer on these. They hold a better edge. It's easier to get an edge on them. And I love these Edge of Glory knife sharpeners. I bought a bunch of them a while back from a TV ad, and they really did work great. Mine are getting old now. I don't even know if they make them anymore. I don't see them on television. But you run the blade through these, and, you know, people say, oh, well, this takes a lot of steel off the blade. Maybe so, but you do get a good sharp edge, all right? These are stainless blades, and they're harder steel, harder to put an edge on them, but they also work well for me for different things. This came with the Edge of Glory, and surprisingly, I had 3 of them, and this is my last one. I love these knives. I thought they worked very well for me too, but anyway. Okay, so I keep a bucket handy for the waste, all right? There's my fish staying cold in the cooler, and I keep my fresh water source for rinsing my hands, cleaning stuff off when needed, and so my blades are sharp, and I want to bring to your attention, I always keep a rag handy when I'm cutting fish in case any schmutz you know, builds up on the knife. I give it a quick wipe off, or if I need to take something off of a fish fillet and so on. Just another thing I like to have handy. And there are my fish. So usually I have a little bit more ice, but it's been hot, it melted off, but my fish are nice and cold, they're firm. And there's the first one, right? So I make that lateral cut right behind the head, right behind the gill plate. I'm sorry, diagonal cut, what am I saying? I make that diagonal cut all the way down to the bone, to the rack, to the skeleton. Fluke are a flat fish. A lot of people think they're tough to cut. I don't think they're so tough to cut. I'd rather cut fluke than porgies or ling any day. Ling are so soft and small and hard to keep in one piece. All right, so now there you see, right? I can feel that rack underneath, and I rest my knife on there and I slide the blade along the rack all the way back to the tail. It gets hung up there sometimes, right? Now I missed a little sliver, and here's the deal. There's another set of rib bones there, or I should say spinal bones, and I try to get all the meat off in one nice shot. Now some people do this, right? They cut it down, straight down the spine, that lateral line, and there's scales and mess that I'm talking about, right? And then once you have that cut made, you can go like that, slide it along that spinal bone, and these fish were bled nicely, as you could see. Got nice white, mostly bloodless fillet, which I like that, right? So a fluke basically has 4 fillets, right? 2 on each side, 1 on each side of the spinal bone. And some people like to do it like this. They say it's the most accurate way and less waste. All right, again, I'm not flying, I'm not super fast, I'm not trying to set a land speed record. I'm just trying to do a nice, clean, thorough job. And there you can see I got most of the meat. One little sliver back here I missed, and a little bit along this spinal cord. Then another thing that I'm going to do, show you this, is take those bones off. Just go right in my waste bucket, and I take this knife because I'm not really a big fan of it for using it for much else than cutting through that skin on the cutting board and getting those ribbons off. And that gets frozen and becomes beautiful future strip bait for the next time I go fishing, right? So there's one fillet all prepped and ready. Clean the schmutz off. A clean blade will always get you a cleaner cut, because the blade gets covered up with sticky stuff and it catches parts of your fillet and the skin while you're cutting, right? So there's one fillet, and I'm gonna cut out that rib cage, and now it's completely beautiful boneless fillet, clean, not much scales. Okay, so one thing I see mates do all the time is they have clean salt water from out in the ocean, and as they're cutting the fish, they throw the fillets into a bucket with the clean ocean water to get all the little schmutz off, all the small scales and things you don't see very well. Sometimes there's bodily secretions from the fish or whatever it is, and I'll tell you what, you know, I'm like a student of the Japanese school of fish cutting, and I don't profess to be an expert in that either. But the deal is, they say never put any kind of water on your fillets, you know, especially if you want to eat them sashimi. I'm not eating a lot of Fluke fillet sashimi anymore because I had seen the same worms that you see in cod in Fluke fillets a few times, and they say the reason that's happening is because of the abundance of marine mammals that we have now. The seal population has gone unchecked for decades, and they have exploded. So, okay, normally just by naked eyesight, I don't see any such parasites, right? But I don't know, you know, once you see those worms a couple of times, you get a little freaked out. I used to eat Fluke sashimi a lot, and look, I got a lot of scales on my hands, right? So I'm gonna rinse that now because I don't want that on my meat. Yeah, I'm not, you know, super quick, but I'm thorough, and I don't care about going at lightning speed as long as my fish is cut as correctly as possible. And, you know, I like it sushi sashimi grade, if whenever possible. So I do what I can to keep most of the schmutz off, and even when I put it down to trim it, I'll put it right back on top of its skin so that I get less gunk on there that I don't want, right? And there's one, well, let's do this a second, because I saw I had one little piece of skin that I don't want. There it goes. Okay, so it's not going to be 100% perfectly pristine clean right now on the cutting board. But before I prep the fish, especially if it's going to be used for sushi sashimi, but before I prep any fish, I look at it closely under the light in my kitchen while it's on the counter, and I take paper towels and I wipe them down very thoroughly. I don't leave any schmutz on there at all, and I feel good about that. All right, so yeah, I'm not like, you know, like I said, like a party boat mate. I don't have 50 or 100 fish to cut every day. Usually just my recreational limit. Sometimes maybe one of my friends' limits I'll cut for them. Right? And I did this more or less the mate way, the quick way. I didn't quarter it like the last. Right? And that's it. And that came out pretty clean too. Pretty much got the meat nicely off of that. Not bad for a layman, non-professional. Actually, I used the wrong knife there. Okay, So I'm going to get my ribbons. And you know, whenever you cut through the skin like this, that's when you start to scatter the scales all around and so on. That's where the mess really begins. But got my bait, and okay, so big scale right there. So you have that little piece of rib bone at where the fillets connect, and I like to make that little V cut, get those out, and then where that rib cage is, right, and that's your most of your bones right there. And I've got a few scales on my fillet, I can see, but again, I'm gonna wipe that water free a little bit later when I'm prepping these to eat. So